Finally, talk about the depth in the pitching staff that you guys have. You talked about those two newcomers who just kind of add to the experience that you add to the staff that you guys have with all the experienced pitchers you have returning. Just talk about how much you got to see out of those guys and where that's pitching staff's kind of at right now.
Well, not very often you have 6 senior pitchers, and so we have some guys that have been through the wars and played Division I baseball now for 3 years. They're talented, and so I think we have some options there. We got to find a number 1 guy with the loss of Seth Rosane. That's a big loss. He did a great job for us on Fridays. He was a guy on a certain day could beat anybody in the country. And so we got to find a number 1 guy and get the staff squared away from that perspective. But, we got TJ Oakes and, Phil Isaacson back. So those 2 guys were starters, but we got plenty of guys around them. And we're not sure how our staff's going to shape up and who's going to end up being in the starting rotation. Obviously, TJ is going to be there and Austin's going to be a candidate. And does Phil stay in there? Does he go back in the bullpen? I think right now, if he asks me, he'd stay as a starting pitcher for us in the program. We do like Luke Rasmussen and Colin Sexton in the bullpen and Matus in the bullpen. We've toyed around. Matus has toyed around with us about he wants to be a starter, and we said, yeah, you can be a starter. You're going to start the 9th. That's where you're going to start. Maybe the 8th sometimes. So, but having a closer and the experienced bullpen that we have coming back in Billy Soul, I think we can blend in some of the newer guys and create some roles for some of the young guys. You got Tim Ryan, we can use out of the bullpen. So we feel comfortable. We have some depth in our pitching staff. We're going to be able to create some roles and build a staff that I think over a 3-game series on a weekend, we're going to have some guys that can match up out of the bullpen and going to have some starting pitchers that get us deep into games. And really, I think it's going to be the strength of our team, to be honest with you. We have our whole infield back except for Kyle Knutson, and we got to place Michael in right field. And but some of the guys that got to play a lot last year because of the injuries are better players than they probably would be at this stage. And I think Kyle Geeson's a much better hitter right now this fall than any time in his career. I think he's finally starting to get settled in at the plate and showed this fall in terms of his progress. And so I think some of the guys coming back showed me that they even haven't improved since the end of last season in terms of some parts of their game that needed to improve. So I've been encouraged by the progress that our team makes, and they've worked extremely hard. They're hungry. They're dedicated. They want to prepare and be ready for the season. I think we'd like to get out of the blocks a little better than we did last year, and I think that's on their minds. And I think they learned last year you just can't read your press clippings and what everybody else says about you. You got to go on the field and perform. And I think that's they learned that last year, and I think that message is taken home. And I think we have a team that's really going to work hard to prepare for the first game of the season. And hopefully we can be healthier and get out of the blocks in a little better fashion than we